What's happening, everybody? SpiffyMan255 here with you again today, and today I wanted to talk about the Patreon purge that's going on YouTube and shit right now, and I found this whole situation very, very fascinating. So, you know, Patreon has sort of habitually kicked off people from its platform that it considered to be controversial. And people like Lauren Southern and things like that. And I did a video last month about Alex Jones. Alex Jones was kicked off just about fucking everywhere. And I warned people. More or less that more was coming. And they've taken out the conspiracy theorists and things like that, the fringes, the people who say kind of over-the-top alarmist things, and now they're going for individuals who seem to just kind of entertain and get a rise out of people, and people who, in my opinion, have legitimate commentary to make. They've gone from the far, far right, and they're kind of inching their way towards the center. And so, like I said, past purges we've had, people like Lauren Southern and Alex Jones, but now we've seen Milo Yiannopoulos, James Alsop, and Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, get thrown off Patreon. And, I don't much care for Milo Yiannopoulos. I don't much like his style. I don't like his candor. He does things to get a rise out of people. He's an in real life troll, we'll say. And Sargon does a bit of this as well, but not quite as flamboyantly as Milo, and not quite on the nose as Milo is. James Alsop, on the other hand, I'm in the camp that believes that despite his protestations, he is probably kind of an actual alt-right guy. He's kind of a white nationalist and things like that, and I haven't looked into him much, but what I have seen, he seems to lean that way. I still wouldn't agree with throwing him off Patreon. Don't get me wrong, but if you needed to find a guy who at least sort of fit into the group, the category that people are trying to fit all these people into, also would probably be the closest one. So, what happened then? People started fleeing from Patreon. This has happened in the past. People saw some patron counts diminish a little bit, but it seems like once Sargon got kicked off, everybody bailed. And a lot of creators that I follow, left and right, people are saying, I don't blame you for leaving. I wish you wouldn't, but hey, it's your money. And people are trying to vote with their wallet when it comes to Patreon. So, what are people supposed to do? I saw a lot of people saying, I would still love to support you somehow. Let me know how I can. I just won't give Patreon any more money. And I can respect that. I can understand that. I can see it. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot. I work a regular job. I don't donate to anyone because I need all my money. But, sorry guys, but that's just how it is. But, overall, people trying to find an alternative found this place called Subscribestar. Now, Subscribestar, similar to Patreon in many ways, from what I understand, and seems to be wanting to kind of be a haven from Patreon. And bam, there you go. That's a free market. There's a competitor. You want to give Patreon your money? Give your money to Subscribestar. If they're going to stick to a principled stance of we're not going to deplatform people unless they're doing some illegal shit, I will support that 100%. However, there are some things that I don't like. I don't like what's been going on as far as what else people think should happen. And I watched a lot of Sargon's content in the midst of this, and one of the things he did was tap the intellectual dark web, which I found very interesting because Sargon backed up Jordan Peterson in the beginning of his whole shtick. Peterson, I don't know if he wanted to return the favor or what, but kind of rallied the intellectual dark web, people like Ben Shapiro and others to kind of back Sargon up. And Jordan Peterson keeps hinting at, maybe some kind of alternative to Patreon may be in the works, but who knows? And I will say this, if Peterson bails on Patreon, that's a lot of money disappearing. So, who knows? But Subscribestar, it's a good move. It's a good move to try to find an alternative. And hopefully an alternative that won't be swayed by ideologues. There have been some other things that I've seen that I don't quite agree with, and if I were to offer my criticisms, one of the big ones I've seen is take legal action. Well, the way I see it, you're dealing with motherfuckers in Silicon Valley who own multinational corporations and billions upon billions of dollars. If people like rock stars and actors and professional athletes can get away with things like beating their wives and having copious amounts of illegal drugs and murdering people, Silicon Valley tech giants kind of fall into that category. I don't think legal action is going to be effective, and I don't think that it's going to do anything good for anyone. Even a class action lawsuit would probably be lost, in my opinion. And it's just one of those things, man, where as the little people, our hands are kind of tied here. The other thing that I've seen Sargon specifically doing, and other people backing him up on it, is kind of this rules lawyering about Patreon's terms of service. He's reading down to the letter of the terms of service and basically saying, well, I wasn't on their platform, I did this elsewhere, yada yada yada. Sargon, you fucking know better. You know that's not going to work, and you know that you're standing on principle, and they're not, and they never will. And I think you know that better than most, that these people, especially the people in these certain political camps, will never stand on principle, because they have none. They have none that are strong anyway. So, in my opinion, maybe stop pushing that and maybe start pushing more of a vote with your wallet. Let's find an alternative. Let's try to do things to make it to where any alternative that we do use is incorruptible, I guess, so to speak. And, I guess it all goes to the motive, right? I guess that's what I'm getting at here. It goes to the motive of why is this happening? Well, I've seen a lot of people say that it has to do with, far left progressive ideologues that are basically chasing a lot of these people down. Sargon seems to be a particular favorite target. Other people are saying it's the alt-right who were angry at Sargon, and, that's the shtick of a moderate centrist, man. The people on the right hate you, the people on the left hate you. And it just, I don't know. Regardless of who it is, that these companies are this easily influenced by individuals and small groups. I guess you could call them lobby groups for these tech giants. It baffles me. It absolutely baffles me. And a lot of the CEOs, you see a lot of the CEOs in interviews that they're all woke as fuck. And, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with being woke per se, but the behavior that comes with it is usually not good. It's usually very authoritarian. It's usually you're not allowed to do that, and if you do, you're a bad person. And in my opinion, I think more so than the political element of it, I think there's also a very deep power element that exists with it, right? If you watch these tech CEOs in their interviews with Congress, you can tell that they're just kind of sit there and they're trying to do this kind of political dance, playing the game in the congressional chambers, I guess, but you can truly tell that these people understand fully that the people who might regulate them don't understand a goddamn thing about what they do or who they are or how these platforms work. And these tech CEOs, they completely and fully understand that they are 100% in control of the social narrative right now. And, these people control what we see. They control what we buy. They control who we talk to. They control who we don't talk to. They control what we know for years and what we forget about, right? That's a lot of power. That's a lot of social control that these tech companies have over the greater populace right now. And to me, it's fucking frightening. It is absolutely frightening that so few people have this much power, this much ability to control in the largest context imaginable. Now, I think it's my opinion that Sargon and Milo and all these other people who are constantly misrepresented and constantly chased around to all these different platforms and constantly kicked off and things like that, attacked, it is my opinion that they will get the last laugh. And there's a very simple reason for that. So like I said earlier, we've seen the Purges work from the far right and are working its way to the middle. Now, once they've got rid of the centrists, they only have one way to go. And some might argue that they'll stop right there. They'll stop in the center because all you have left is the left. And, I don't think it's quite as simple as that. Because if you look at the way the far left operates, they are constantly eating each other. The left eats itself. And we see this clear as day over and over again. The left eats itself with the Women's March. You have this grand schism amongst the Women's March because a vast majority of people who engaged in the Women's March and who founded the Women's March are completely anti-Semitic. We see the LGBT community, the trans activists, are constantly embroiled in battle with the anti-trans feminists, the TERFs, right? So it all comes down to, once you've gotten to the center, once you get there, the control will have to continue to shift. And then all these denominations of this progressive religion, because it is a religion. I have a video coming out about the religiosity of the progressive left probably next week, hopefully, if I can find the time. But it really is. The left eats itself. The Social Democrats hate the neoliberals, right? And it's just, it's a constant thing. So once they get to the center and they keep going that way and that way and that way, bam, they get to a wall, and then they have to figure out which denomination of leftist gets to stay. Because eventually they're going to start purging TERFs. Right? We see Twitter, you can't dead name people, you can't make a claim against trans people, you get in trouble if you claim there's only two sexes, right? So it's very likely that we'll start to see TERFs ejected from social media. It's very likely we'll start to see other types of leftists ejected from social media. Because they'll just eat each other. Then eventually there will be no one left. Now, ultimately, the bottom line of this is I find it interesting because of the way it works. These individuals, these groups, they follow people like Sargon, they follow people like Milo, they follow people like Lauren Southern, and they go from place to place to place trying to make sure that their livelihood is constantly in jeopardy. These are the people that are supposed to have empathy. These are the anti-fascists. They're supposed to have empathy, but they don't. They don't stop to think about the fact that what they just did was take away Sargon, a vast portion of Sargon's ability to feed his family. He's got kids and shit, but they don't care. Honestly, I think one thing that they would absolutely love to see is for his wife to pack up his kids and leave. And that's fucked up. That is absolutely fucked up. And you almost kind of understand it when you look at it as a religion, right? It's the exact same behavior that you would see an evangelical Christian take against homosexuality, right? These people truly, dogmatically, and from the bottom of their heart believe that those children that he has are in jeopardy. That it's almost abuse in some way for them to even reside in the same house as him, lest he might pass his opinions on to them. It's frightening. It's frightening to engage with anyone who thinks that way, in my opinion. You know, overall, I started this whole YouTube thing because it looked like a fun thing to do. I got shit that I like to say. It's a creative outlet. I didn't have many of those. So, it's something besides playing video games when my kids are asleep. I never really considered I might monetize videos. I'd cracked jokes about it before. You know, if I were to get a large enough subscriber count, I might. I notice I got 10 now. Thanks for coming, guys. Welcome to the party. But, I'm not on Patreon. I don't make enough money to donate to people on Patreon. I'm sorry, guys. I just don't. It's just the facts. But I really hope you guys find a place to go that doesn't get shit all over. I really do. Because in my opinion, I don't think anybody should get in the middle of me taking $1 and handing it to somebody else. PayPal, Patreon, these places, all they should be, in my opinion, is conduits to transfer money. That's it. That's what their purpose is. Their purpose is not political. Their purpose is not ideological, and they should damn well better understand that they're being used as weapons against people. That's fucked up. It's absolutely fucked up. These are bad, terrible people. And anybody who does that, in my book, is a terrible fucking person. And they need to get a fucking life. But, you know, I don't know. I really do. I hope you guys find some place to go. I hope you guys stop getting shit all over. And I guess that's all I got to say about this. I love you guys. Be good to each other. Because it turns out there's some people out there who really hate the idea of that.